Good morning and welcome to Peace Out. Take 3. Right? I'm hoping this one takes. I turned the Wi-Fi all the way off. I don't think it's the Wi-Fi though. I think it's the phone because everything seems to be working fine. Isn't it those things, those little challenges that just get right inside our head from the get-go first thing in the morning? That was not very nice. But we're here and we can just say, hey, what a great chance to practice piecing out again, right? And man, it's been a crazy weekend around here. Let me just put it that way, right? I hope you did not have as crazy of a weekend as I did. I hope you had a blessed, wonderful, peaceful, blissful, in your imagination weekend, right? You know what? Here's the cool thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because nothing we face changes the promises of God, which is kind of what I want to talk about this morning. Because I'm thinking about 2 or 3 stories, and I think I finally settled on Joseph. Because we can get the promise, whether that's something out of the Word or even a prophetic word, and we can maybe talk about that in a class sometime. I can explain that, but sometimes we get a word from God. Maybe He gave us a dream about something, and that just reassures us that the situation is going to be okay, or whatever. Or I had 2 stories in my mind. One was the children of Israel when God said, "Come on, let's go to the promised land." That was the promise. I'm going to take you to the promised land because there are the disciples in there. Let's go to the other side. He forgot to mention the storm in between. He forgot to mention the 40 years in the wilderness in between. He tells Joseph, he says, he gives him the dreams where he's going to be a ruler and a leader, but he forgot the in-between part. Promise is the easy part, right? It's easy to get the promise, and we hope we get that promise, and we trust God to bring it to pass. Moses says, come on, let's go. But God forgot to tell Moses that all those people was going to be cranky all the way through that wilderness. God forgot to tell Joseph that he was going to be in the prison cell. Many of those years developing the leadership qualities and the trust in God qualities. And he eliminated all the distractions so Joseph could just sit there and learn to hear the voice of God. That's a tough lesson though, right? The promise was easy. Oh, I see what God's going to do. But getting from here to it being done is the hard part. Even the story of the disciples, let's go to the other side or go to the other side, and then there's a storm in between, and they thought they were going to die, right? Why are you sleeping? And the other story where Jesus came to them walking on the water, he forgot all those little details. He forgot to tell them that with the promise came the path, and it's the path that makes the promise hard. It makes us. It tries to talk us out of the promise. At any point, the children of Israel could have said, I ain't going. I'm not going any further. And sometimes they actually said, let's just go back. It was easier. This is easier than getting to the promise, right? And so we have the promise. We have a book full of promises, 66 books full into one version, right? Full of promises. And the biggest one that we're holding on to in this devotion is that Jesus said, I'm leaving my peace here. But he forgot to tell us about that path to get to that peace sometimes. Sometimes we've got to look past what's right in our face to go, oh, this peace is still here. His peace never goes away. Nothing that God ever said and nothing that is established in his kingdom ever goes away, especially not in response to our crazy circumstances. He never unplugs anything. He never takes anything back. He never says, forget it. I didn't see that coming. I didn't know this was going to happen. When he gave Joseph those 2 dreams when he was a very young man, probably in his early and mid-teens, right? When God gave Joseph those dreams, he forgot to tell him, oh, by the way, you're going to be persecuted. You're going to be a slave. That doesn't look like God's plan. As a matter of fact, we're not ever going to prophesy that. Even if God gave it to me, I might not say, oh, you're going to be a slave. But God usually gives us that end result, right? I will redeem you. I will use you. I will open you and give you into a broad place, a prosperous place, a large place where I can work with you. I will, if he calls you into ministry or you have a family, same thing. Oh, we're going to have a baby. That's great. What a beautiful moment, right? We just have a new baby in our family. And it's just such a beautiful moment to see this new life. But you forgot to tell us about that 18 years of getting them to adulthood, or 21 or 30 or 40 of getting them to adulthood. You forgot it's so exciting to have a new baby. But there's a lot of trials with it. There'll be a lot of sleepless nights. There'll be a lot of good sleep nights too, right? It's all a mixed bag of good and bad and easy and hard. You forgot to tell, there'll be broken arms, there'll be bike wrecks. And, for that matter, we can take anything and make an example out of it. Learning how to ride a bike, the promise is the riding the bike. The hard part is learning, right? And so why do we think it's that we're just going to get saved and everything's going to be great? Or we're just going to trust God for peace and everything's going to be perfect and blissful. And no, it's the process that tries to talk us out of what God gave us. It's that process of getting from point A to point B, from point 1 to point 2 or 3 or 4, from the slavery to the promised land. All those years mixed in between was what was going to get them to the promised land and equip them to stay there and enjoy it. But that's not what they saw when they see, let's go. We're going to get out of this. We forget that it's a journey from this to that. Here's the coolest part. No matter what the promise, even if you don't have one, maybe you have one. Maybe you don't know what your promise is. Maybe you haven't had a dream like Joseph. Maybe you don't have a Moses come into your life and go, come on, let's get out of here and go over this way. Maybe you don't have a boat. You're not going to go across the lake, right? Maybe you don't even know what the promise is. But God never changes his mind. And when he gives a promise, when he says, let's go to the promised land, let's go to Canaan land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Yay, right? That just means prosperity. It's good, all your provisions going to be there. But it was a long time between let's go and we're here. And there was a lot of stuff that happened in between let's go and we're here. And God never abandoned them. He never said, this, you're right, this is hard. Why don't y'all just go back? Yeah, I don't want to be, I don't want to be with y'all either. He never did that. He had a purpose when he gave the promise, but they had to work a plan. And that's the hard part. But we can rest assured today that God has promised us so many things. Among those things is that peace in our heart no matter what's going on. Whether we have heat or not, it's 23 degrees, right? Well, all those things going on, we can rest assured that God is covered. We don't have a story where God made a promise and then said, forget it. And if he was going to do that, I'm pretty sure it would have been with the children of Israel because they were cranky. They were whiny. Why didn't we even come out here? We could have just died in Egypt. They didn't trust God, and that's what the wilderness was about. So when God gives us a promise like, I'm going to leave my peace with you, how great a love that God called us his children. When we have a promise, getting the promise to understanding the promise to living the promise is the hard part. And it's trying to get us, it's kind of like life wants to try to talk us out of what God has given us. Don't let it. Today, stuff comes at you, just go, I still have peace. I just got to let it ring. God's not going to take it back. He's not going to change his mind. He's not going to tap out. And that means to avoid pain, by the way. He's not going to tap out. He's not going to walk away. He's not going to sit back and laugh and go, look, she thought she was going to get peace. Look at that. He's not making a mockery of us. It's working those things out of us that keep us from being able to trust fully in his peace, in his promise, in what he said. And that's the hard part. When we get in that crucible of life, that squishes that unbelief out. It makes us stand up and go, I'm going to believe God. It makes us make that choice. Do I want to run back to Egypt? I mean, Pharaoh's gone now, right? Do I want to go back to Egypt? Or do I want to press on into the promise that God has given me? For me, I want to press on into that promise. There's stuff I want to get done, I want to do, and I'm going to press on. But that, in those midnight hours is where it's like, where did you go, God? I don't hear nothing now, right? I need to hear you now. I need direction. And that's where we can go to the Word and grab the scriptures that apply to our situation and pray them, declare them, and just hold on to them. Just hold on to them. Hold on to his word. Hold on to his promise. Hold on to all these examples of people who went through the path from the promise to the fulfillment and didn't let go. That's why I'm encouraged today. And that's why I know I can peace out today. No matter what anything looks like, we can peace out. Today, God's still got us covered. Have a great day. Peace out. I'll see you again tomorrow.